So today we're with Rohini Rupnarayan, the Operations Manager at the Iwokrama River Lodge, and she's here to tell us a bit about conservation. So Rohini, what can you tell us about the importance of conservation and the work Iwokrama has been doing to further that?
Well, thank you, Rishma, for having me. I think conservation is very important, not just to Ghana, but to the entire world. We have to use the forest, but we also need to ensure that we sustain it, not just for our livelihood as humans, but also those of the wildlife and for the plants themselves. Iwokrama's work in contribution to conservation has many. However, I'll speak to the forestry aspect. As a part of Iwokrama's mission of developing sustainable businesses, one aspect of their business is the sustainable timber operation that is ongoing within the Iwokrama forest. And that aids into bringing in an income to help the center meet its mandate. And meeting our mandate towards conservation, we use the GFC Code of Practice for large concession. And to come with that, I would just like to list a few points that Iwokrama puts forward on a daily basis or a yearly basis to fulfill that mission. One being is that the GFC has a capacity of harvesting 36,000 cubic meters per year. However, Iwokrama has set out its forest objective to harvest 20,000 to 30,000 cubic meters per year. And at that same point, we can still earn an income. The second point is that Iwokrama uses 8 cubic meter green heart harvest within a hectare of forest when we're doing our harvesting. And the green heart species can be found abundantly in the Iwokrama forest. However, we do not intend at Iwokrama here to cut all those green heart species. So what we do is that we apply that rule to maintain and sustain the forest and help in conservation at the same time. Another aspect is that we use a natural regeneration system for the forest. So once we have harvested an area, that area is left to naturally regenerate itself, which is Charam silviculture system. And one other key point is that we use a 60-year harvesting cycle. Point 3 and 4 are both related. They come from the GFC Code of Practice. So if we harvest in plot 1 this year, we're not going to harvest in plot 1 until 60 years later. My final point is that at Iwokrama we use what we call the reduced impact logging technique. And the Ghana Forestry Training Center provides training on this. And from time to time, we do give the staff that work at Iwokrama a refresher training. And this is done. Some of the techniques include directional felling and also how to do skidding, health and safety practices. And this all falls in place to help reduce the impact Iwokrama operation is having on the forest. So those are just a few key points I would like to outline that helps Iwokrama not just to fulfill its mandate, but also to contribute towards conservation.
Okay, thank you for that, Rohini. So when we've done social outreach and we've reached out to schools, the vast majority of our younger audience tend to fulfill more lucrative jobs. That's what they're more interested in. But we at Iwokrama would like to broaden their perspective and letting them know what are some of their options when it comes to careers in conservation. Can you tell us a bit about some of the careers in conservation Iwokrama has to offer?
Okay, well, again, I would speak to the forestry aspect of things. And some of the careers that it offers, we have forest manager, we have harvesting supervisors, we have operators, and not just heavy duty machinery, you have sawmill operators, chainsaw operators, you have data entry clerks are also not restricted from being a part of this operation. You have people like myself who does GIS for part-time, so GIS coordinator is another option. you have log scaler, and different managerial roles is involved. So for example, you have a logging foreman in the logging area. You have a sawmilling manager. You could also have a deputy sawmilling manager. And while all of these jobs might be something that you might be away from your family, it's a really great experience overall here in the forest.
Well, thank you for having us today, Rohini.
Thank you, Rishma.